For the two of us, we've actually discovered that we feel like we're each other's soulmates. But we've also learned to recognize that being soulmates doesn't mean that we're two perfect people coming together in perfect ways. It's actually about being two people that want to learn to love the other person as best as they can, to expose the best in the other person so that they can become what they are meant to be, so that they can rise above the doubt, they can rise above what they feel they are capable of doing, and learning to expose the best of each other. And I believe that Elizabeth Pertrovich was somebody who had people in her life that showed her how to love not only others but herself. She learned to find the value in herself to the point that she found her loudest voice. And she spoke that day in front of people who made her feel small, who made her feel insignificant, and who made her feel like she was not welcome in her own community, on her own ancestors' land. So, what I'm also learning through the work that I'm doing is that we have to model at all times how to love each other, how to choose our words wisely, which is important to us because our culture, we didn't have written word. The only thing that we had was our spoken word. And we treated our words so carefully that we didn't speak anything that we didn't want to be known forever. So what I'm learning in the classroom is that we have to choose our words carefully so that we are exposing the best in these children, so that we are allowing them to learn that they are powerful and they are capable and they can be independent. These children, they're only 3 to 5, but many of them are already writing, many of them are already reading, many of them are already learning how to take care of themselves and to be independent. And I think that's something that we need to teach all of our children at a young age so that as they become older, they have that power, they have that knowledge. And I think that if we teach our children that, we will have many more Elizabeth Pertroviches to come, and we will not have just one person to look for. There will be many of us. There will be a room full of Elizabeth Pertroviches who have the power and who have the confidence to create change.
Yes.
I'm blanking on what I want to say. Because I was only asked a couple of days ago, I didn't have anything written. I wasn't really sure of what I was going to say, but I know that they needed a certain amount of time, and I wasn't sure how much I could fit in during that time. But I do want to say that I'm honored to speak today, and I hope, if anything, that you all walk away with a message, that you understand that you are capable, and you have the power to change yourself. You have the power to pass that on to the people that you love. In the last year, there's many things that I've challenged myself to, and many things that I've looked back to our culture to find healing from. And if there's any doubt that we were powerful and incredible people, one of the biggest things that I want you to recognize is we knew all of these things. We didn't have schools, we didn't have books, we didn't have teachers. All that we had was each other. We had our families, it was our aunties, it was our uncles. They were the ones who gave us this information. They were the ones who gave us this education and this knowledge of ourselves. So everyone who's in this room today, you all have the ability to pass this on to the people that are around you. One of the things that I challenged myself to was decolonizing my thinking, letting go of the education, the poor education that I received over the years, and I've challenged myself to change my thinking. One of the biggest, most eye-opening things is changing the way that I've been eating. One of the things that I've learned about trauma is that our subconscious, because it is always on, we cannot shut it off. But it doesn't speak a language. It doesn't speak English. It doesn't communicate with us on the conscious level. It's always on, and what I've recognized through the power of our culture and the way that we've eaten is that part of our trauma can also come from the way that we treat our bodies. When I challenged myself to change, I looked at a lot of our values, I looked at a lot of our traditions, and one of the biggest things that stood out to me is that our people did not touch things that did not make us better. So since I've recognized that and tried to understand that, I've tried to implement that in my life. And it is something that is so incredibly powerful and yet almost effortless to do. Once you started to challenge yourself, things start to happen, things that you never expected. Last year, at this time of year, I actually quit drinking just to put an extra level of effort behind it. Because one of the things that I've learned is that sugar, starches, and carbs, things that we didn't naturally have in our diet before colonization, our bodies actually read them as trauma. They actually read in our subconscious, and because they don't speak a conscious language, our body doesn't know if it's actually suffering real physical or emotional trauma, or if you're just consuming something that reads as trauma in your body. Some of the things that I've been tackling in the last year, I don't believe I would have had the strength or ability to do if I were still putting myself in situations where my body was reading that trauma and feeling stress. As part of that as well, I really looked at our diet and the way that we eat and the way that we treat ourselves. And the most incredibly powerful thing to me to visibly see is that this time last year, I was over 200 pounds. And as I'm standing here today, I'm back down to 150 pounds. And I have not stressed myself out the way that I did even 5 years ago. 5 years ago, I was working out constantly. I was constantly dieting. I was constantly wondering why I was not seeing any progress. When I challenged myself to change the way I was eating, it became effortless. I have not eaten most of the things that we eat in our colonized diet, leaving behind starches and flour and sugar. And without even trying, my body has returned back to what it was meant to be. One of the things that we were told during colonization is that our foods were unacceptable. We were not allowed to access our traditional foods. What I'm here to say is that our traditional ways are more powerful than you would ever believe. You just have to take the time and make the effort to recognize that we were incredibly powerful. We did know how to take care of ourselves. We were incredibly independent. We didn't have doctors. We didn't have hospitals. We didn't have schools. We didn't have churches, because everything that we needed to be, we were as one in our own families, in our clan, and we shared that out of respect for each other. That is something that is missing today. It's a message that we don't hear, and I think that it is something that is absolutely important and necessary for us to learn and to reacquaint ourselves with. My hope after speaking today is that my daughter will see that we are incredibly powerful, and that we, so long as we are challenging ourselves, that we have the power to grow and we have the power to become what we were always meant to be. We don't have any choice to be anything but who we are. Society will tell us that we have to be something different. Society will tell us that we need to do things in order to become what we want to be. Society today tells us that if it's not available for purchase, that we are not able to attain it. But in our culture, before, when we were born into this world, we already had everything around us that we needed to succeed. And I think that is something that we need to remember, that no matter what it is that we think we need, everything that we ever needed to be successful in life, the earth, our Creator, has already provided it from the moment that we were born on this earth. And the only thing that we can do is choose to be ourselves and to honor that voice and that value that we know exists in all of us. So thank you. Thank you for letting me speak today. And I hope one of you comes away knowing that you are more powerful than you may feel when that voice inside of you or the voice in society tells you that you are small and insignificant. Thank you.